people need to know about these body scans and subsequently the calcium score. I mean, heart disease is a silent killer, and I was one heartbeat away from dying. I mean, that was from the cardiologist's mouth, the surgeon's mouth. Anytime, it could have been my last breath, and I was concerned about that. The whole process after I found out about the calcium score, because of my family history and what I read about it, it was fatal. It was deadly. So it's really, I used to get upset about it, but it's a joy now that, this was, but I guess I should tell the whole story, right? So we saw Jason Witten on the commercials, and my wife and I looked at each other and go, we're over 50 and we should probably look into that. And as time passed, we saw a little more of their advertising and we thought, you know what, that's a good idea. So we bought each other body scans for Valentine's Day this year. I was hesitant, it's you're sort of scared because you don't know what's going on, you don't know, and at our age, it could be anything wrong with you, and so we weren't sure of the experience. But when we got here, they made us comfortable, and it was pleasant, and it went really quickly from the time we got here till we got our scans. Then the wait started, waiting. They're gonna call you if anything is significant. Otherwise, you'll hear from them in 5 to 7 days via mail. And so after that first 5 days, we celebrated. Hey, we're doing well. And then on the 10th day is when I got the phone call that, they found excessive amount of calcium in my coronary arteries. And it was high, so high it was off the charts. And they recommended that I see a cardiologist right away. So there were always thoughts of it because of some family history. My wife's adopted, so she had no health history. And my dad and his siblings had extensive heart disease history. So for that reason, since I was in my mid-40s, I've gotten a physical every other year. All the conventional tests were all normal. So we always celebrated that because of the history. Hey, we're doing well, we're doing better than our parents and so forth. And so I really didn't think, I just had a physical last year and all my lab, all my testing was within normal limits. So when I got that call, it was shocking, but I didn't know what a calcium score was. So I had to immediately, they explained it, but I'm a layman, so I immediately went on WebMD and started looking it up and immediately got frightened that it was such a high score. Well, so the chart says anything over 300 is considered excessive, and it indicates a high chance of a serious cardiac episode within a certain time frame. My score was 1,170, so 3 times what the normal high end. And so I immediately calculated, I'm going to have a cardiac incident in the next 3 months because it was such a huge score. And when the PA called me and explained it, he said that I should see a cardiologist right away, that it would be considered urgent to at least get it figured out. Once I went to the cardiologist, in fact, because of my dad's history, my dad has like a back line, like, let me call doctor, and so I went to see the cardiologist, and they immediately drew blood work and said, okay, we're going to do lab work, we're going to do an echocardiogram, and then we'll do a stress test. And let's see what the condition of your heart, let's see what this calcium is. Is it accumulated? Does calcium equal blockage and so forth? And so I had lab work done on the first visit, and before my return visit in 10 days, they called me back and said, hey, your labs are all normal. Your lipids, your good and bad cholesterol, everything looks great. So, okay, there's hope. Maybe there's nothing wrong. And then I came back and had an echocardiogram, and the technician that did that test said, now if there's anything significant, I'm not going to let you leave. I'll go get the doctor and we'll talk about it right then. So no worries, So I lay there and they did the exam, and she goes, well, everything looks perfectly normal. Your blood flow is great. You've got, and so again, there's hope. Yeah, maybe it is an anomaly. Maybe it is an artifact that, and so they scheduled me for a stress test with a nuclear dye, so it measures the blood flow, and I'm not a doctor, I don't know, but to make sure that things are going the way they're supposed to go. And I did 85% of my maximum heart rate on the treadmill which was difficult, but I had no chest pain. I haven't had any chest pain ever. No history, no shortness of breath. A few years ago, the AMA or somebody changed the parameters of blood pressure to where like 70 or 120 over 70 was normal, and they moved and that made me borderline high of my blood pressure, and that's only been any indication of any cardiac issue at all was I had borderline high blood pressure. And I did the stress test, and the doctor said, you did great. They thought they might have seen something that looked like maybe an old scar or an anomaly that wasn't significant to say, oh, there's something terrible. Let's go ahead and schedule a heart cath because of this calcium score. We want to make sure that everything's okay. So I went early morning, and we worst case scenario was they find a blockage and I'm going to have a stent and I might have to stay overnight. And that was from the doctor. That's what we talked about. So when I went in, and they keep you awake, and they go in through your artery in your wrist, and you can see it on this big 80-inch screen. You see your heart, and and then you see this wire going into your heart and around the heart. It's really interesting and cool. And then he says, okay, now this is the dye. So he shoots the dye, and you see it spread throughout the arteries. And I was watching, and I saw, it looked like balloon animals that had come on, so it's round and firm, and then there's an area that's pinched and weird. And he started counting them, and in the right side of my heart, he counted 6 blockages. And I knew then that it was worse than a stent. I was teary-eyed and sort of scared, so I can't tell you exactly what he said about the left side of the heart. But they took me back into recovery, and hadn't told my wife yet that it was worse than what we thought it was. And I was upset, and I explained to her that they said I was going to have a bypass. And as we were sitting there talking about it, a doctor walked in, Dr. Bradford, who's one of the most renowned cardiovascular surgeons in the state of Texas. He's done all these amazing things. And he had just so happened to be there on a case, and he saw my angiogram, and he came in and he said, you haven't had any chest pain? And I said, no, I've had no chest pain, no symptoms. He goes, listen, this is urgent. What we saw on the angiogram, I've got a case in the morning. I'm going to slide them back, and we'd like to admit you if that's okay, and we're going to do a bypass. It started out to be a triple bypass. We're going to schedule you for 7:30 in the morning if you guys are okay with that. And what do you say to that? You say, okay, let's do it. And while he was in there, apparently the fourth main coronary artery was, 3 of them were 90% or greater blocked. The fourth one was 50% or more. He said that I would probably have to come back in at some point in the future if they didn't go ahead and fix that. So they went ahead and did a quadruple bypass. And was in the hospital for 6 days. And now here we are 3 weeks later. Got to see the scar. It's just a pink line. I mean, it's, no trauma, no heart attack, no CPR, no broken ribs, no heart stopping ambulance ride, which is, I don't know why God spared me of that, but thank goodness for the body scan, right? Who knows what would have happened? I might not be here today. I mean, that's, the doctor said, 1 heartbeat away from a fatal heart attack. I'm 53. I've played basketball pretty much my entire life. I have 2 teenage boys. We fish all the time. We went hiking for Mother's Day. We 100% active. Never smoked in my life. Never had a symptom of a cardiac incident ever. And I was 1 heartbeat away from dying with 90% blockage in 3 of my coronary arteries. That's the silent killer. That's what they call it, and it's scary. It means my life. It means my family. It means God is great because there's nothing. I can't explain it. You can't. I mean, why did we do it? Because it was on TV. I don't. It was. I'm. It's disappointing that the insurance doesn't immediately cover it, and that it's not required, and that my cardiologist isn't saying, "Hey, let's get a physical and let's get a body scan," because we really need to know what's going on for sure. Traditional medicine has advanced through technology, for decades, and I think it's really important to get the message out there that this is something that is necessary. I mean, people are dying, and they wouldn't be dying if they knew what was in that body scan. So advanced body scans saved my life, without a doubt. I was one heartbeat away from a fatal heart attack, according to all of the experts that I've seen.